This is another video in the series I'm doing on the Wogdon pistols that I'm building. This is the first one which I've now finished, and this video is about it just shows the engraving of the lettering on the barrel. It's, I'm afraid, quite a long video, and it contains strong language. And it misses out about half of the time, no, less than that, but it misses out about 20 minutes of the engraving because the camera went off, but most of it is on there. So enjoy watching it. This is in real time. I haven't speeded it up, which I sometimes do, so you can see how long it takes to do, and you can hear me huffing and puffing in the background. It's quite, it's in a way quite physical, the force necessary to do it. I mean, it has to be very controlled force. It's a very nice piece of metal, the barrel, very uniform and relatively calm, I'd say, to engrave. And it did wear the tools out, but not incredibly fast. I think in total, probably, I blunted half a dozen tools doing the lettering. Maybe I chipped the points off one or two along the way slightly, but nothing serious. So there we are. So here comes the engraving. Now we come to the most critical job in the whole of building this pistol, which is to engrave the name on the barrel. So if I get this wrong or slip, it's going to be there forever and nothing will make it better. Right, so I've got to find room to turn this, take those engravers out of there, I think, and just swing the barrel around. That's okay, good. Right, well, here goes then. So we'll be looking at this in, I think, times 10, oops, take another one out, there we are, that's fine, times 10 magnification. Right, so we start on the W. I've got a high-speed steel tool here, which should probably be quite adequate. I've got the lines marked on there. It's lovely metal to cut. Right, so there's the first stroke of the first upstroke of the W. Put in the, sorry, that was the downstroke. Put in the first upstroke. Put in the next. Gorgeous, lovely stuff to cut. Beautifully soft. There we are. That one. Right, now we'll put in the tail on the start of the. There we are. And then we've got the long tail that's got to be really smooth. There we are, that's quite good. Now we've got the O. So, how that goes. I've got the two rules lined out so I know what I'm doing. There we are, that's that side of it done. We shall go through and thicken up the downstrokes. Oops, I did a slight jump off there, which slightly, I don't think it made a scar, I think it just scratch the surface, which will burnish out. Right, now we come to this one, the G. So we'll pop that one up there. That's it. Now I'll have the sweep down the downstroke. Difficult to do these downstrokes because the barrel hits me in the stomach as I do it. I rotate it. There we are. Right, now the tail of the G. So we'll take that from bottom upwards, gradually get wider and wider until we're on the main letter stroke, and then that's quite a big wide one. There we are. That's good. Now I got the D. We'll come up off the D there, around the top. Now we go down the side here, the downstroke, lean it out, come up straight at the bottom. Around the corner, up to join the shaft. The shaft should be cut downwards, although actually I usually cut them upwards. Corner around the bottom, and then a nice broad upstroke. There we are. Flick it out at the top. That's fine. Could be a little bit wider at the bottom, I think. There we are. Now an O. I got the spacing of that right. I keep an eye as I go along that I'm actually spacing things out right. Very easy when you get to the end, you look at it and you think, oh goodness me, I really could have done a bit better on the spacing. Mind you, Mr. Wogdon's engravers didn't always get it right. A lot of the, when you look at it actually, oh bugger, excuse my French, that one has slipped, it's got to be burnished out. I think the answer is probably we need to change the tool. Oh, it's not too bad. There we are. Just about got away with that. Let's get my piece of rod out and just burnish out that one a bit. There we are. That's Wogdon done. Now we've got a London in block letters now. So that's the main problem with that, is getting the spacing right. So let's have a look at mine. I think that's okay. I've got fairly generous spacing there. The Wogdon, his script had very fine. I might actually sharpen up a flat graver for that. His serifs on his script were very fine. I'll have a think about that when I've done the basics. So okay, so now we go off on doing this. So this is fairly, whoops, that doesn't feel right. No, that's not right. Right, here we go. Okay, that's the L done. Now the O. A stupid barrel in my stomach again. My chest, I suppose. Here we are, around the bottom. Quite important when you do the curved letters like O's, that you actually take them right down to the line, because actually they look better if they're slightly over the line relative to the upright, the normal block of the straight line letters. Right, ends. I always get ends wrong. The first stroke of the N is a light stroke because it's an upstroke. Then the diagonal of the N is a heavy stroke, and the last stroke is an upstroke. There's all these standard ways of doing engravers lettering. There we are, and then so we need basically two, I'm cutting all the heavy lines, just two cuts. There we are. They all have to be reversed in the end, because they taper a bit much. Part of the difficulty of spacing, which there are plenty of difficulties, is that until you put this bit, that you really, when you're doing the basic letters, you kind of have to allow for the visual effect of the serifs. I mean, I think some people, and sometimes I do it, you actually you cut the serifs first and then you work between the serifs, but that kind of means that you have to have a spacing in your mind pretty accurately, and then if it doesn't work out, you're kind of stuck with what the serifs are doing. Yeah, I mean, quite a lot of rework of all this stuff. You see, you can close up the spacing a little bit between the N, the O and the N, because the O doesn't have any serifs or anything sticking out, so the O's tend to be, and because there's quite a lot of sort of white space between each side of it. So that's the end. Came up on me rather quickly. Just make sure I spelt that right. Yeah, I think so. I think quite often you do engraving and then you realise you've missed out a letter or you've made a letter wrong. Depressing when that happens. But there we go. Right, so now we've done it. We finished that. So let's have a look at the tool I could use for cutting the serifs. Well, that might work, because fortunately there aren't any serifs on the script letters. So let's try this. I haven't really got much of a heel on this one. Oops, that's slightly crooked. We might at least do them first with a very light right angle graver, just to get the framework right. Serif upright on the end of the L. The O. Well, let's do the main uprights. Microscope in focus bit. Do the main uprights on the L. Probably they might need to be made heavier. Right, so that's the bottom stroke and the serifs on that. Right, now we've got the O, so we'll shape the O up a bit. the N. Now the N has a particular N's have a particular set of serifs that so the bottom of the first leg has a serif that extends both sides, so it's got a symmetrical serif. Then the top first corner has a single serif going out for backwards, whichever way you think about it. It's got one serif on it there. And then the top of the second leg has a symmetrical serif both sides. No, it doesn't. It has a serif just on the outside, I remember now. There we are. That's good. So that's that one. The D obviously just has two continuations of the curved surface. We might come back and stretch some of these serifs a little bit if the spacing looks too wide. So you can have quite often the serifs were very long. Yeah, so I opened up the D a bit. That's alright, now we got one. No, coming along fine. Now I've got to go and actually I haven't done the script, I haven't reworked the script really. That looks good. Right, and the last N, just make those legs even. Right, put our symmetrical serif on the bottom. Asymmetric serif on the top, and the second one on the end. Usually, often, the end serif is kind of extended. Just there we are. There's a nice big long serif. There we are. Now let's go over. Let's work on the script. See what we can do. Actually, what we'll do now, when we finish that, is to clean up, get rid of the black. The scratches in the black just hide what's there. So we get rid of the black, and then we can put methylated spirits, rub a bit of black ink into it, wipe it off, just give it a little rub over with a bit of 3000 grit paper to see what we've got. And let's put the glasses on and look at it without the microscope. That looks alright, actually. I can still see that scratch there a bit, but I don't think that will matter too much. Now, let's have a look. What have we got here? Okay, all the lettering, even though I've done it quite hard, looks actually rather light. I think, particularly the London, but no, the all looks rather light. So we're going to have to go over that again and just make it a little bit heavier, which is okay. Yeah, we could thicken up all those thick lines to 3 lines, and that'll be fine. And then the Wogdon, the name we can sort out. I think that tool's still sharp. Right, it's getting a bit blunt. You run up the fingernail under its own weight, and you can kind of feel whether it's right. That's a good sharp one. Right, so we'll, yeah, let's start. I was going to put a bigger tail on the G, and in fact I had drawn it out. So we'll do that. Right, so put the tail on the G. So we'll come, where should we go? We usually have to cut these in multiple different ways. It's quite actually surprisingly easy to join them up. So we'll get a nice sweep round here and head up round here, very fine. And that'll just taper out. Yep, and then it goes up here across the leg of the G, which will get dug out in a little while. And it's going to get, I don't know what's going to happen now. It's going to go around here. We're going to think we're getting it nice and even, and then the barrel's going to hit my stomach. There we are. There we are, not too bad. Not difficult to join those things up in smooth curves, but it is possible. And then we'll widen that one up here. And the leg of this thing's got to be increased in size. There we are. Yeah, so that's the G done. So right, so now let's go back to the W. So there we are. Right. A bit bolder. builder. There we are. Right. The main tail on the W. There we are. Let's widened it up a bit in the middle. It's okay. Now we can work on these other letters. So the O here. Right, we're nearly at the finishing point now. We've got that done. I've gone over all the letters and widened up, thickened up the lettering. I think I've got one more to do on the end there. Just in the process of thickening that up. Yep. Thicken up the serifs a little bit. I think we'll have to put an extra diagonal in. There we are. Right, I wonder what that looks like. Let's put my glasses on before I can see. Let's put that on, fill that up a bit so we can just make it more conspicuous. There we are. I don't know whether you can see that now. Yes, you can do. So that's where we got to. That's it. More or less the last bit of the job. Not, I think, too bad. Probably I shall look at it again and think, maybe. The only thing I can see at the moment is the tail of the G. Oh, I know what I can do actually. There's one thing that new tool. One thing that Wogdon did actually occasionally was to variously join up the script letters. So, not always, but quite often he hinted at the joining up of the script letters, which is kind of was quite a nice, I thought, quite a nice gesture. Mainly just that. I think mainly just that O that came off the start there. I think that's what we'll leave it at that. Now, I think we might try just tidy that up a little bit. You can just reshape the curves of things by recutting them a little bit. Now this one ought to be It should be a bit wider around here and then go into its narrowness. There we are. There we are. That's better. Slight burr up there, just raised, so let's get rid of that. More or less gone. And we had this one here which we got rid of once, we can get rid of it again. Burnished out completely, but it'll won't show so much. There we are. So let's have a look at that again. So there we are. Wogdon, London. Not bad, not bad. Quite a lot of the signatures on the barrels of Wogdon's pistols varied quite a lot. That one's quite large actually. The script lettering, the block lettering for the London is quite large. But I think that's fine. If I were doing it again, I might cut the size of the lowercase letters and the blocks down a little bit. But that's fine. It will do. It's good, and the spacing is nice, so I don't have a problem with that. So there we are. So that's now got to be browned. So I'll just smooth it down a little bit, not very much, but just take a little bit of, polish it up a little bit, and then that'll go down into the cellar, be plugged up with a wooden plug, and then that'll receive half a dozen coats of browning solution, which is basically some form of ferric chloride with sometimes a bit of mercury in it, just basically to get it rusting. So it'll get a thin layer of rust all over the barrel, and then you rub it off with 4O's grade steel wool and repeat indefinitely. Well, no, not indefinitely, until you get a dark enough colour. And probably, I mean, this one will have no discernible pattern in the metal. This will have no twist at all, because it's just machined out of a piece of bar. So we won't expect to see anything. The colours you get, or the colour you get, will be a sort of reddish brown. If you want to make it darker, you want to make it blacker, then you can dunk the each time you brown it and rub it off, you can steam it or dunk it in boiling water. I usually steam it, and that converts the ferrous to ferric iron oxide, and so it becomes a darker rust, a black, in fact black. Which is quite a nice finish. So, oops, there we are. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll get on with the next bit.